Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of You Don't Need a Hamster, You Need a Therapist. Today, I need Hannah, but she's not here. Me and Hannah have had the most chaotic of weeks, and organising a time to record together has just not been possible this week. So we always knew this was going to happen. We've had a backup plan, and we thought we'd do a little spin-off from last week's You Need a Digital Detox episode. And I'm going to give you some of my book recommendations. So yeah, let's just get started, shall we? I'm going to split it into categories. The categories I have are, I've got two authors that I love. I've got kind of like lessons to be learned. And then I've got wholesome. We're going to start off with wholesome because the book that inspired this is the book that I literally finished it today. I read it in under a week, which for me is unheard of. It was a very short book, but still I was quite proud, I can't lie. And the book is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. Oh my goodness, when I tell you this was the book I needed for this phase of my life. It's about a woman who goes through a bit of a rough patch, ends up losing her job and her relationship, and has to move into her uncle's bookshop, and she works at the bookshop to kind of like pay for her like rent and board kind of thing. And when I tell you, it's just such a wholesome read. It's like a cozy read, but also sometimes I can be a bit funny about books because if I feel like they're too cozy, I'm like, I can't read that in the summer. But it was kind of the perfect book. I was sat out in my garden reading it. It's been lovely weather this week. And yeah, I just really loved it. And I think a lot of it really rang true to me and my life at the moment. So I definitely think if you're in the kind of like phase of your life of having had to take a few steps backwards before you can carry on your journey, it's definitely a book for that. Like literally one of the sections in it and one of the chapters is kind of talking about how like this is her recharging her batteries, and I just think it was just an absolutely stunning book. Very low stakes, and that's what this wholesome reads section is going to be. We're going to stick on the translated literature side of things and move on to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Now, this book is another just beautiful lesson. I mean, it kind of fits into lessons to be learned and wholesome reads, because it's one of those where you're kind of just like learning about people. You learn so much, but in such a discreet way, just through like the lives of these people that you're reading about. A lot of these like the wholesome reads I describe as like a hand to hold, like living life with someone, but someone is a character in a book, and that's definitely the case with Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It's all about a cafe that if you sit at a specific table in the cafe and have a special coffee, you can go back in time, and there's a load of rules around how many times you can go back, but the one certain rule is you must come back before the coffee gets cold. And as you can imagine, it's one of those kind of like race against times, but in like a really like beautiful kind of like no, don't leave kind of way. It's stunning, and I would 10 out of 10 recommend. I think it's a stunning book. Oh, sorry, I got a bit enthusiastic and I hit the side then. And now the next book I have is Small Pleasures. This is another wholesome read. You basically follow the life of Jean, who is a journalist in the 1950s. And oh my goodness, it's just like, I think if you were like older than me, you'd love this book because it's probably like a bit of nostalgia. I'm not saying you have to have been born in the 50s, but it's kind of the taking it back to before technology. And like, I mean, it kind of says it in the title, Small Pleasures, but it's all of those like simple joys of life that really covers it. And there's a little cheeky bit of scandal in there, but it's just so like, it's like such wholesome scandal. And you're like, I didn't know that, you know, kind of a love affair could be this like just subtle and lovely. And I think it's a very grounding book. That's what I'd say about that. So I definitely recommend that. Give that one a go. It's brilliant. Also, beautiful cover, may I just say. I'm not saying I bought it for the cover, but did I buy it for the cover? Yes. And then I fell in love with the story, and I think sometimes those are the best books. The next book in my wholesome reads, the next and last book in my wholesome reads is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This book is one of those like time jumpy books where you're kind of in present day and then you go back 10 years and then you come back to present day and you're all shrouded in mystery, but like it's just lovely. It's all about young love and reconnecting with people from your past. Basically, this woman returns to her family holiday house and bumps into her kind of first love kind of person. And you kind of see it jumps back to their relationship growing in the past and then back to like them now. And it's a bit of mystery, bit of romance. But it's a lovely summer read, obviously. I mean, Every Summer After, it's just kind of encapsulates that kind of like young summer spirit. And sometimes you just want to be transported back to that. And this is the book for that. I loved it. Definitely would recommend. Now I'm going to move on to the authors that I'm loving. I say loving as though like it's past, present, future, baby. I love these authors. The first one, which I think is such a universally loved one, is Taylor Jenkins Reid. In particular, her Fame collection, which is... I'm not even going to try and say them in order because I don't actually know. I read them out of order. But Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, and Carrie Soto is Back. Oh my goodness, these books had me in a chokehold. I cannot tell you. I am in like, genuinely, it is like the pages are lined with... Can I say crack? I'm going to say it. It's like the pages are lined with crack. I love them. They're so good. I think the thing that really gets me is if you love like a scandal, a celebrity drama kind of thing, a little forbidden romance. Also, if you love Easter eggs and like interweaving of books, you can read these books in any order, but whatever order you read them in, there are references to the other books, and it's genuinely genius. I don't know how she does it. I actually went to a book signing of Taylor Jenkins Reid, and hearing her talk about the books was incredible, especially like I think the femininity of the books, the fact that all of the lead characters in these books are women, and not just women, but women at the top of their field, and it shows all of the sacrifices and kind of struggles that they've had to face to get there. It talks so much, like there's so much kind of gender politics in these books that is just amazing. Especially Daisy Jones and the Six. The character of Karen, if you read it, you'll know. Like, it's so good. And genuinely, I have not met one person who has read any of these books and not liked them. I just think they're universally loved, and they're so raved about by... If you're in a reading slump, get to know, because these will pull you straight back out of it. So yes, definitely check out Taylor Jenkins Reid if you haven't already. And then the next author I'm going to talk about is Sally Rooney. Oh my goodness, our Irish queen. Literally love her so much. I'm talking Normal People. I'm talking Conversations with Friends. I'm talking Beautiful World, Where Are You? I mean, in a way, if I wasn't categorising her as an author, I would say she's a wholesome read kind of thing. It's all of the... I mean, it's quite similar, I guess. I've definitely got a taste. Let's just say that. I think all of her books really touch on a lot of politics, actually. Political views. There's kind of an underlying theme of communism throughout all of them, and the kind of ideology of communism versus capitalism, which is really interesting because it's so like not in your face, but it's just there as an undertone throughout all of her books. The way she writes is so poetic and beautiful. They're written very, like, just authentically as well. Like, you can really see the characters. If you haven't seen Normal People, the series, definitely check that out. I mean, read the book first and then watch that. I can't lie, Conversations with Friends, I don't want to be controversial, but I didn't love the series as much as I loved the Normal People series. I think maybe it's just about the books and how they translate to screen, but I think Normal People just captured such an essence of the book that Conversation with Friends just didn't quite get. But that's just my opinion. I still thought it was a very good series and I did love it, and I really love Conversation with Friends, the book, but Normal People has my heart forever. What I will say about Sally Rooney's style of writing is I know some people don't love it. Like, you have to admit her style of writing is beautiful, but I know I gave the book to my mum and she was like, Millie, where are the speech marks? Where is the dialogue? Punctuation. And I can't blame her for that. Each to their own, but I loved it and I could get through the dialogue minus speech marks. So yeah, I would definitely give that a read. Give it a go. Read Normal People, please, because when I tell you that book will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will make you fall in love. It's got all the emotions and I just love it so much. My next two recommendations are oldie but goldies for me. These were books that I read when I was younger and have been my firm favourites ever since I was like 13, if not younger. The first one is Wanda. If you've not seen Wanda, I think you've probably maybe been living under a rock. But do you know what? Maybe you haven't. Maybe this was just a massive thing when I was younger. They did make a film, which I'm not going to talk about the film because although I thought it was a very good film, I think it lost the essence of the book. This book is basically about a young boy called Oggy. I don't know what the correct term is, and I'm really scared of getting that wrong. So I might Google it and then insert a clip of me saying the right thing. But basically, he is a young boy who looks very different to everyone else. And the thing that I love about the book, and I think is so clever about the book, is you never get a description of what Oggy's face is like. So you are seeing this whole story play out from his point of view, and you are seeing the way that he is treated because of the way he looks, despite the fact that because you're getting it from his point of view, you can see how he is just your typical little boy. who wants to play with his friends and wants to like feel included and have these experiences that all the other children are having. And I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful book, and I just definitely give it a read. If you haven't already, give it a read. Again, like, I mean, I think this was my first book that I was ever like, I love, I can't put down. So, yeah, it's beautifully written. It's the most stunning story. And I just couldn't recommend enough. Definitely give that a read if you haven't already. The next book, I was a bit older when I read this one, and probably for good. Probably wasn't old enough, but I was older. And this is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This book will break your heart. It is, and I will just say before I go any further, this book definitely comes with a lot of content and trigger warnings. So definitely, I mean, I'm not going to list them, but if you would like to read it, which I definitely would recommend reading if you think it's appropriate, but definitely look at the trigger warnings to make sure that you are safe when you're reading it, because this is all meant to be for kind of enjoyment purposes, and I don't want any of the topics in this book harming anyone. But essentially, this is a book about two teenagers, Theo and Violet, who meet at the ledge of the school bell tower as they were both about to take their own lives. And as it says on the front of the book, this is the story of a girl who learns to live from a boy who wants to die. And it is just, I think this book is just the epitome of like hope in humanity and that kind of thing of two people really finding a connection and reigniting the love for life and each other. Obviously, it does have very, very dark themes in it, and it's a very tough read at points. And I can't lie, everyone who I know who has read this book has been absolutely sobbing by the end of it. But it's a beautiful read, and I definitely recommend it if it is safe to do so. So yeah, definitely check it out, but be safe when reading it, because obviously it's a heavy book, I can't lie. My final recommendation is Good Intentions by Kasim Ali. This is a book about Yasmina and Nur, who are is a black woman and a Pakistani man who have been in a relationship for 4 years, but Nur has not told his family about Yasmina yet. And honestly, I remember reading this so vividly, and I don't think at the time I realised like how much of a favourite it would be. But now whenever anyone asks me, or whenever I think about books that I'd recommend or what my favourite books are, it always comes into my mind, and I always just remember reading it and how kind of engaged in the story I was. I think it's a really, really interesting look at modern relationships and the way that race and ethnicity kind of plays into modern relationships and prejudices, but all of that is kind of inside of a really like amazing story. So although the focus is race and kind of prejudices and racism, the story is really like, it's a very engaging story. And I think it's very important, you know, for we all as humans have a responsibility to learn as much about the people we are sharing this planet with as possible. So I definitely think as a slightly kind of middle class white woman, reading that book was very important, like for me educationally and kind of understanding different cultures. But yeah, it's just a very good read, and I couldn't recommend it enough. And it was one of those books that kind of just got under my skin without me even realising. But now I think about it all the time. And I think that's a sign of a good book and a good, like a firm favourite, is when, even if you don't fully expect it to be your favourite, you never stop thinking about it. Or it always pops into your head whenever you're thinking about amazing books that you've read. So, yeah, that is my final recommendation. With that concludes. Actually, let me just take you through my TBR list, my to be read list. The next books on my list are Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, because I got that for Christmas and I still haven't read it because I've been saving it for a special occasion. But actually I just need to get on with reading it because, you know, it's never going to be the right time to read it. Another book is The Happy Couple, which I'm excited to pick up. It's a new author I've never read. I think it's Nisha Dolan. I've never read any of her books before. She also wrote Exciting Times, which I've heard great things about. And then the other book, my last book on my to be read, which is, I've just started reading it tonight and I'm very excited, is Orbital. And it's shaping up to be a very beautiful read. Like, the first chapter is stunningly written. So I'm definitely very, very excited for that. But with that concludes this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Definitely send me your book recommendations. You can find me at ydnah.pod on Instagram or _millie.nicholson on Instagram. If you want to hear Hannah's favourite books, message her at Legally Detained. But yeah, I think that's all. And I'll see you next week. And Hannah will be back. So you won't just have me. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Love you guys a lot. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.